This podcast is brought to you by Cash App, the easy way to send, spend, save, and invest with friends. Does everyone in your friends group have a cash tag? That's money. And because Cash App connects you effortlessly with your friends and your finances, I would like to take this moment to shout out all the friends who are on Cash App. Shout out to the friend whose cash tag is learning to bake, and to the one who helped you take out your AC out of your window. A big shout out to the friend who owes you $38. Shout out to the friend who will only pay you back in Bitcoin, and the one who always suggests theme restaurants. And shout out to Tommy, who I love watching squirm every time I mention his love for the Denver Nuggets.
And the new one who recently started working in real estate and now says location, location all the time. Shout out to the friend who withholds repayment until you finally agree. We said Leo last time, so we're going to say Jay-Z is the greatest of all time. And the one who can't dance. Shout out to the friend who sends GIF reactions entirely too much for anyone's taste. And the one who thinks you're related. And to the friend who drew their cat on their custom cash card. Shout out to you, sir.
Cash App is the easy way for you and all your friends to enjoy sending, spending, saving, investing, splitting, tipping, donating, gifting, or just pressing buttons to look busy, all with the #1 finance app in the App Store. That's money, that's Cash App. Download Cash App from the App Store or Google Play Store today to create your own cash tag. Welcome to the Old Man of Three with JJ Redick and Tommy Alter, presented by Cash App and brought to you by 342 Productions. This is episode 139, Paulo Banchero. Tommy, we were really excited about having Paulo on the show. He's obviously part of the Duke Brotherhood. He's having a phenomenal rookie season. We were actually supposed to have him on during Summer League, and he had some things happen last minute, and so we pushed it. But I'm actually glad. I think the timing on this is great. First of all, he's playing great. Secondly, the Magic are playing great. And I was, I got to meet Paulo a couple times when I was down at Duke last year when he was playing there. But I was just really impressed with the person that he is. And specifically on the podcast, he's a natural gifted storyteller.
Yeah, he's a natural. We can tell usually right away, the guys who know how to let a story sit for a little bit. And he hasn't done, very many things like this, but he's really good. And I think his backstory, there's a lot of stuff in his backstory that people may not know that they're going to be interested in this episode.
Yeah. And I mentioned Rookie of the Year, and this was obviously before Chet got hurt in Summer League, but on June 24th of last year, the odds on DraftKings for Rookie of the Year, Paulo was at plus 300, Jabari Smith was at plus 350, Chet was at plus 475. The current odds for Paulo to win Rookie of the Year are minus 475. I mean, 52% of the bets are on him. The most money on him, he's actually got, the next closest guy is Benedict Mathurin of the Pacers in terms of total money bet. So clearly the front runner. And on top of the numbers, the counting stats, you could make an argument. The Magic are one of the most fun teams to watch. I think your tweet the other day, Tommy, you said they're the most interesting 8-20 team in the NBA. They're now 11-20 after this weekend.
They keep winning. What do you think makes them, I have my reason, but what do you think makes them so interesting to watch, even though they're not, and they will be the first ones to admit this, they're not always good.
Yes.
But what makes them so interesting?
So I'll start with Paulo, #1 pick. Clearly a guy that has lived up to expectations. You think about yesterday's game, I guess it was an afternoon game in Boston. Yesterday's game, first Magic rookie to ever have 30 points and 6 3-pointers in a game. He was the first guy to go 25-5 in his NBA debut since LeBron. So he's fun to watch every night. And it's fun watching really talented players early in their career in real time sort of figure shit out on the fly. That's really fun. Franz Wagner, that to me, his development this year, he's a stud. Paulo actually says some amazing things about him in this interview. We'll wait for you to hear that. But I love him. Bol, it seems like every night has some crazy play. His body control at his size and length. It's just, that's fun to watch. And truthfully, he's missed a lot of time, but they've actually been a good basketball team. Not just a fun, bad basketball team. They've been a good basketball team with Wendell Carter Jr. on the floor. And as he gets healthy, gets more integrated in the lineup, it's, at some point, they're going to put a team out with 5 really good basketball players. Now, can they win? I don't know.
Well, I'm missing Jalen Suggs still, who I think will be, when he comes back, will be helpful for them, and is still so young. We don't know what his ceiling is yet. The other person I wanted to bring up, who we talk about a little bit with Paolo, who's your boy, who I think has made a real impact for them. He only got back on November 30th, is Markelle Fultz. And even in Sunday's game against the Celtics, his stats weren't great, but at the end of the game, that's the guy who's getting their offensive rebounds, the guy diving on the floor. That's the guy who is kind of like making second chance plays happen. Obviously you're happy for him. He's a great person. We've had him on the show and everything like that. But like, what do you think his impact is, just as we were joking about him being their vet, but he is their vet. Yeah. What do you think his impact is for this team? Because it doesn't feel to me like a coincidence that they've had this win streak since he's been back.
I would always say, as his teammate, and we would talk about this with the Sixers guys, like, he just moves differently. There's an unpredictability to his movement patterns. He's shifty at one point. He's explosive at another point. He's kind of awkward sometimes when he gets into some of his crazier dribble packages. Like, he just keeps you off guard so he can break down a defense, even though he still can't shoot threes, but his mid-range has looked really good at times this year. I remember going into my second year when Philly said, we're going to start Markelle over you. We need him to develop, which, I had no problem with, whatever. That's all good. But I remember Billy Lang, who was one of our assistant coaches. I remember him telling me Markelle has the chance to be special defensively. And that, to me, is where I see him making a really big impact for the Orlando Magic this season. It's been, he scored the ball, he's rebounded, and he's gotten assists, but it's his defense. He makes plays and he guards at a really high level, and that's impressive to me. By the way, Tommy, we kind of brought this up with Paulo, and I looked it up this morning on DraftKings. Like, Orlando, like a lot of teams this year, Orlando was one of the teams that everybody assumed was going to tank for Wembanyama. We are now 31 games into their season. They're just 2.5 games back of the play-in game. And I think about their team and their roster. How good would it be for their development? Because they already have talent. How good would it be for their development to get the opportunity to play in a high-pressure play-in game, to go down the stretch of the regular season in March, in April, and actually be playing meaningful basketball with high intensity? There's value in that. Now, the flip side of that is there's value in Wembanyama, but there's value in that. And the Magic currently are at plus 800 for the play-in game. They started the season over-under for wins on DraftKings, 25.5. Unless they absolutely shut these talented players down, there's no way they don't cover that.
Here's my question for you. They beat the Celtics twice this weekend. Obviously, they're not beating the Celtics in a playoff series. I'm not saying
once without
that,
Tatum. Tatum was not there yesterday.
Yeah. But obviously, not beating the Celtics in a playoff series. But my question is, if they were somehow to get into a play-in game, find themselves in some sort of playoff situation, is there something about their size, like the way that they are built as a team, where they feel like a unique matchup problem for certain teams, where they just feel a little unpredictable to me in terms of, like, it's not like there's one guy you got to lock down. I mean, it may be Paolo by the end of the year, but it's not like there's one guy you got to lock down and that's it with them. It's that they're throwing a lot of shit at the wall and they're kind of seeing what works. And I don't know. I think that I think they are scary in a lot of ways. As a team, you just kind of don't really want to have them coming into town, if that makes sense.
It makes sense from your vantage point. There's no way they're winning a playoff series. Like, what? What are you even talking about? I know you're being positive. What are you talking about?
They might win a couple games.
What are you talking about? No.
We'll see.
So they get the play-in game and they get the 7 or 8 seed and they've got the Bucks, the Celtics, or the Cavs, or the Nets. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
We'll see. Let's check back in 2 months.
When I throw down on the NBA action, it's got to be with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Download the app now to get in on the holiday hoops action. Right now, all customers can sign up with code JJ, opt in, and place any bet on any NBA Christmas Day game. And if your bet loses, you'll get a free bet back. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code JJ. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. I should mention real quick before we get to Paulo's interview, we've got an awesome episode this week of The Old Man of Three Things, available exclusively on Amazon Music. We will be previewing 3 of the Christmas Day games, and next Monday we'll be recapping 3 of the Christmas Day games. I should also note, next week we are off from our regularly scheduled The Old Man and the Three. It's time to take a little New Year's break for all of us. We're going to be off from a regularly scheduled show, but we will have an Old Man and the Three Things on Amazon Music on Monday. All right, let's get to our conversation with Rookie of the Year frontrunner, Orlando Magic star Paolo Banchero. All right, let's welcome in Paolo. Dude, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a long time coming. I always, just so you know, we were just talking about me being an asshole. I always have to call out people when they cancel on me.
Yeah.
And you canceled on me this summer at Summer League. But I'm glad we got this done, bro.
Nah, man. If it was really up to me, I would have done it right away, man. I promise. But
I also think this
all good.
timing is perfect right now with you guys are with how you guys are rolling.
They're a fun team. They're a fun team. We're going to get to the Magic in a second. I had a quick question for you. Have you ever been confused for Patrick Mahomes?
Man, one time.
What?
One time. Yeah.
What's going on in your mind during this interview? Like, did you and him sort of come to the realization at the same moment, or did you
mean the reporter?
Yeah, that he was talking to the wrong person.
No, he that's what was so shocking. Like, he came up to me, tapped me, like chased me down first off. I'm just walking, like looking around, doing the track walk, and he chases me down and like taps me on my shoulder, like turn around, and I don't know who he was at the time. I see the camera, but like I never been to F1, so I'm not aware that like this is live national or worldwide television. I don't even know what's going on. And he's like, Patrick, you know, what is it like? Yada, yada, yada. I'm like, huh? I'm just going with it though. And so I answer his questions. And then like after he asked me like the second or third question, he like kind of just looks and he's like, wait. And then I'm like, what's going on? And then he kind of is like, oh, I got the wrong guy. And then just walks off. And I was like, well, man, I'm lost. And like 20, 30 seconds later, my phone just starts going crazy. I'm like looking and everybody's like, yo, he thought you was Patrick Mahomes. I'm like, what? Patrick Mahomes? Like, what is this? Because I didn't even know when he came up and then left, I didn't know he was talking about Patrick Mahomes because he just said Patrick. So I'm not putting all this together. And then I took a little break and looked and saw the clip on Twitter, and I was just like, you know, this is crazy. It was crazy. But I mean, it was funny though. And it kind of like introduced me, I feel like, to a lot of people who didn't already know me, you know.
Cause that's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. F1 fans. I think you're the first guy that we've had on that was allowed to get a bag in college. What was it like getting paid in college? Because I think about my sort of value, especially junior, senior year.
Yeah.
Like I would get at least the mid-level exception. I would have got some sort of exception.
Yeah. Nah, for me, it was great. You know, coming in, they made me aware of the rules change and, you know, what I was going to be able to do. And, you know, I didn't really understand or know what I was going to be able to get until I think 2K reached out to my dad and was like, they want to put me in the game. And that's kind of when I was like, oh, wow, like before I even get to the NBA, I'm going to have a chance to do this. And then I was also able to capitalize on some other stuff. But I mean, it was great, you know, being at Duke, being a student and just being able to, you know, be comfortable and, you know, have really whatever you need.
At what point in your recruiting process did it become clear that it was going to be Duke?
Not till later. I think early in my recruiting process, like end of my sophomore year, I was hearing from 30 plus schools and I was just trying to get a feel for everybody. Then I narrowed it down, took my visits. And if I'm being honest, Duke was actually my worst visit.
Who was your host?
I don't want to throw him under the bus. I don't want to throw him under the bus. But it's my dog. I mean, but it was my worst visit. Like, if I'm being 100% honest, you can ask Coach Shire, my worst visit. But like the basketball, I got a feel for everything, like just being around the campus and like just when I walked in there, like just the feeling I got being in there, it trumped all, like it trumped the whole experience. And then meeting Coach K was great. And then I think when COVID hit, you know, me and Coach K really started to build a relationship. He started to contact me like 3-4 times a week, you know, on the phone, texting me. You just asking me if I'm watching. I think the bubble was going on, so asking me if I'm watching these games. And I think he said something to me during my recruiting process that like it was kind of a moment where I was like, all right, like this is where I'm going. And he was just basically like, look, you gonna be top pick wherever you go, any school, it really doesn't matter. He was like, but if you want to be the number one pick and if you want to be the best player, you can be. There's no other coach you should try to play for. So
I would co-sign that. Did you have any indication that your freshman year was going to be his last year during the recruiting process?
Yeah. No, he told me.
Okay. You knew ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a bunch of games that year. It was my first year of retirement.
I remember seeing you.
Yeah. My favorite was the Miami game that y'all lost at home. I told this story when we had Jason Tatum on the pod, but there's bad body language in the second half. Coach comes over. You guys are sitting down. He comes over, and all he says in the timeout is, "I hate your fucking faces."
I remember that.
Coach, the motivator.
Mm-hmm.
And we were actually talking off camera about after a loss, those 4 days in between games in college, how brutal they are. Was there anything he ever said to you that really just like hit home with you in terms of his motivation tactics or even yelling at you?
Yeah. Yeah. There was a couple different ones. Preseason, during the season. One that I always think, and every time it happened, like I would be pissed off, but like it's Coach K. So I'm like, man, like, all right, like this is legendary at the same time as it is frustrating, But there was one time in the preseason, it was like probably late September, mid-October. So like we're practicing, just getting started practicing. And we had played 5-on-5 that day, or the day before, sorry. And he had the chairs out with the TV screen in the middle of the court and watch film the next day. And so he turns the screen on and I can see the clip is paused, but I have the ball. And I could already tell, like, some days you can tell when Coach K is like, he's getting ready to like, get on y'all ass. You know what I'm saying? So kind of had that vibe early. And seeing the clip was paused and it was me with the ball. So I'm like, all right, here we go. Like, he's probably about to get on me. And I didn't play that bad in the scrimmage, but like I was kind of sluggish. I was scoring, but like my intensity, especially on defense, wasn't really there. And he just took the whole 20, 25 minutes and grilled me like the whole time. Clip after clip after clip. Like even clips I'm scoring, he's like, look how you're moving. You're sluggish. You mosey up and down the court. Then it's another clip where like I just dribble the hell out of the ball and like don't get anything. And he's like, see, this is your problem. That soft ass West Coast Seattle shit. This isn't the fucking Seattle Pro-Am. Nobody wants to watch you dribble up and down the court.
That sounds like a coach
And
thing.
I was like, he really just said the Seattle Pro-Am, like, because I had just played in the Pro-Am in July. And so he knew that. And so I was just like, man, like, all my teammates found that hilarious. So they all got on me after practice about that. But
I was with Coach over Thanksgiving, stopped by his house to see him and Mickey. And we spent some time together, just catching up, kind of seeing how he's doing, to be honest with you. This is a big transition for him, obviously. And we were talking about the one and done era and then transitioning into NIL, transfer portal, just how much college basketball has changed. And he actually said, of all the one and done guys, he felt like you, Tatum, and Zion were like the best. He always talks about unpacking your bags. You know what I mean? Being fully committed. Like, how difficult is it knowing that you're going to be a top pick in the June draft to sort of have your feet in place and be focused in the moment as a one and done guy?
Yeah. For me, it wasn't as difficult. I like made a concerted effort to like not think about it, and like be bought in. Like I think as a team, like we really wanted to win. Like, I think coming off that COVID year, they were, I think 13-13 or 13-11 to finish. Didn't make the tournament. So like us freshmen coming in, me, AJ, Trevor, and then all the guys coming back, like we wanted to win. So that's what all I was thinking about the whole year. Like we wanted to win. We wanted to be, in the Final Four, which we got there. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you think about it like, the mock drafts come out as the season goes and you see them. But like for me, it was more just you know, you have to be, for me, you have to be all the way invested. Like Coach K is just too much of a, like if you're not, he's going to sniff it out and he's just going to eat you alive. Like if you are not invested, like he's going to know right away. So I feel like you have to.
We talked about this with Zion a little bit too. Did you guys feel like you had a target on your back there? Just because of, not in a bad way, but just because being at Duke, being number 1, number 2 players in the country, things like that, where it was like every game, it's like that show is coming to town and teams were getting up for it?
Yeah. I mean, every game, every team we played, you know, whether it was the whole team or a player on the opposite team was like having the game of their life, you know, like the game you came to, Miami, like we watched a bunch of film on them. Like we didn't play good, like, but at the same time, like they came in hot, you know, just and confident. Like that's just the way teams come in. You know, being in Cameron Indoor, like that's the biggest game of their season. And I think for the most part, we were always aware of that. But like some games, you know, we slipped up and lost a few. But yeah, you definitely get every team's best effort.
I actually felt so bad for you guys the whole season, and I wonder if you felt there's always a burden, and I'll want to talk about your comments to RJ about that in a second. But I think there's always a burden playing at Duke. It's for college basketball, it's very high pressure.
Yeah.
Last season there was the added, pressure because it was coaches last year, and I didn't have a great record last year. I was at the Miami game. I was at the Carolina Final home game. I was at the ACC championship.
Sheesh.
And I was at the Final Four.
Sheesh. 0-4.
Think we know the comment.
0-4. Damn.
How much did you feel that extra burden though?
Yeah, we felt it. Like I said, most of the year we didn't. But I mean, I've never felt to this day a game like that last game at home. Like that was crazy. Like just being on the court and like just the amount of pressure and like expectation we had, like we didn't even really practice or like game plan that week. Like it was just so much going on around coach and, you know, people coming in and reporters, like a bunch of media, like the most media, you know, we had all year was during that week. And yeah,
96 former players at the
game.
Like
they
trotting out on the court before the game. I'm the whole time, the pregame, I'm trying to think like if it was a player, my routine was so important.
Yeah.
That game, y'all's shit was just so fucked up.
Yeah. And it kind of threw us off a little bit. And I mean, and then once they started coming back, we got a lead early, but like once they started to come back and gain momentum, it was like, that's when the pressure just, you know, grew to its largest because we knew if we didn't come back or if we didn't respond, like just the weight of the whole world was on us. And, Jesus, you know, when we didn't, I mean, it was tough, man, because we knew the season wasn't over. Obviously, we had bigger goals, but like that was the game like you can't lose. And so that was kind of our mentality. I feel like we were trying not to lose more than we were trying to win.
What was the locker room like after that game?
It was tense, man. It was tense. I mean, we was sitting there, sitting there waiting for coach, you know what I'm saying? And then coach came in, he was frustrated. I mean, he wasn't happy. And, we felt like we let him down. Felt like we let everybody down. It was rough. I can't lie.
You certainly let me down. I'm kidding. Actually, I thought the game in New Orleans, which I also, I went to, was one of the best college basketball games I've seen in the last 10 or 15 years. That was just high level basketball. We lost to a team that was playing
ridiculous.
Great. Yeah, ridiculous. Yeah. The shot making down the stretch from them was awesome. My anger is not towards you guys. My anger is the rest of our lives. We have to live with the fact that Carolina beat us, coach's last home game, and his Final Four last game.
No, that, I mean,
I'm just glad they lost in the championship, to be honest with you. Like that at least had some silver lining.
Did you have, Carolina aside, did you have a favorite personal moment from that tournament run?
From that tournament run, I would have to say beating Texas Tech. We won the first round, got out the first round, beating Michigan State. And then Texas Tech was like where everyone was like, okay, like this is the game we think they're going to lose. Texas Tech is like, their average age is like, they was all like 23, 24, number one defense in the country. And we had lost the ACC championship. So guys, people thought we weren't, as good as we have been. And that was just a big game for everyone. We all stepped up and it was a great game. It came down to the wire, a lot of big shots, a lot of crazy plays. And it was on the West Coast. I always, we was undefeated on the West Coast. So I give credit to myself because I always would tell my teammates, like, look, we're on the West Coast. We all right. We all right.
So you were on your teammate RJ Hampton's podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read the full quote. You said, at Duke, it was you were a celebrity. People treated you like you were royalty there if you were on the basketball team. Being the highly touted player and the one who everybody knows, it was just kind of elevated even more. I love Duke by far, but it was like sometimes it felt like you were a zoo animal or something. In class, you would see them whispering about you, staring at you. I then caught people trying to record me. I was on campus 4 years. You were on campus 1.
Yeah.
When you said that, it made a lot of sense. And I think particularly early on when I was there, I felt that even more. And there was just because I was not like you. I was not thinking about the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
I had this sense of I just want to be a normal college student and be able to go about my day with some sense of normalcy. And I feel like it does get elevated a little bit more at Duke. Can you just sort of talk about your experiences as Paulo, that student, not necessarily on the court in front of fans?
Yeah. It was interesting, just being there. You have to go to class. Like, people think nobody goes to class. Like, no, you got to go to school. Just like trying to figure it out, trying to fit in. Duke is a great school. It's a lot of smart kids, who sometimes, when they get to talking in class, you're like, damn, like, do I even belong in this class right now? So like just handling that, trying your best to, just fit in and try and be a student, because sometimes kids look at you like, oh, he don't want to be here. He just is here to be in the NBA. So he doesn't want to do his work. Which, it's a lot harder to do my work, but I was putting in a good effort, and we all were. I think everyone was. So you just battle that, and you try and kind of in a box because you don't know what these other kids think of you. But it was good though. I think it was good for me just being in that situation, having to figure it out.
Tommy, what was your major at GW?
History.
History.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was also a history major. I had a minor, culture anthropology. And I don't remember if it was my freshman or sophomore year, but I get in class the first day in one of my culture anthropology classes, and a bunch of soccer guys, lax guys, and then, non-athletes in there. But it's a bigger class for Duke. It was a big class, 70 to 75 kids. And the professor, very first day, looks around. He sees, Duke basketball sweatshirts, Duke soccer sweatshirts, all that shit. And he says, I see we have a lot of athletes in the class. Never like that. It dumbs down the class. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah. That's the other thing is the professors, like not even the students. I had one professor as well, who I had to drop out his class because, I was doing the work, trying my hardest, like talking to him, setting up meetings. And he had emailed my academic advisor and was like, his writing, it's just basically not good enough. Like, I met the criteria, of what needed to be put down, but my style of writing, my vocabulary, whatever it was, he was like, it's not good enough. Like, it's not going to make it in my class. And so my academic advisor was like, well, it's best to drop out because, this probably isn't, I'm just like, all right, shoot, I'm trying, and I feel like I'm a good writer. So it kind of made me think damn, all right.
Is it weird to think about, I don't know if we've actually ever talked about this. Is it weird to think about in hindsight a little bit, the fact that you have this criteria, you're being judged like all of your other peers, while meanwhile, the Carolina game is the biggest thing in sports, one of the biggest things in culture in the country that's happening. It's I have this thing that I need to focus on that the entire country is talking about, and yet my paper needs to be up to the same standards as this other person who really has nothing else going on in their life besides just finishing the paper.
Yeah. That's what kind of, mind boggling me, just like him not even being considerate of, where I'm at, the position I'm in. I'm getting up at 6 a.m. We're on the track, running. I'm coming to his class at, 9. And so I'm just like, I'm trying. I'm really making an effort. And so, when he said that, it was like, okay, like it was kind of like you can see how he looks at basketball players or athletes in general. It's like, a certain stigma around it.
One of my history professors, I had 2 classes with him. And so the first class was an incomplete my sophomore year. And then I ended up finishing the paper and got a C. I got credit for the class. The following year for the history major, you have to take 2 intensive, history writing classes where you basically the whole entire grade is a 30-page paper. So I finished that class. And when he gave me my paper back, he said something like, "You've shown a lot of this." I actually tried my junior year and senior year. I didn't try my first 2 years in class, but he said to me, "You've made a lot of progress academically in the last year." And he's like, "The question you need to ask yourself is when you're done, whenever that is, when you're done playing basketball, do you want to run a car dealership or do you want to run for Senate?" And I'll never fucking forget that. Like we've talked about the professors who were like dumb jock.
Uh-huh.
He did the exact opposite. It actually meant a lot.
Yeah, no, that's what's up.
Was it always a foregone conclusion you were going to leave?
I'd have to say, yeah. Before I even got there, Coach K told me it was going to be his last year. He was like, "This is going to be your only year." And this is before I even got there, So I think that was clear, but it didn't change, the way I approached every day. Like I bought in, Coach K bought in, he treated me and, all the other guys that left like we were any other Duke basketball player. I mean, that's just how he is. He's been doing it. So I would say, yeah. I mean, there wasn't really much stay in talk, really.
This time of year, everyone's excited about the gifts, the holiday spirit, but what about all the basketball? When I throw down on NBA action, it's got to be with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can bet just $5 pregame money line on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do.
Plus, everyone can combine multiple bets for a bigger payout with DraftKings same game parlays.
And I'm not going to toot my horn every time, but I probably will. When one of my same game parlays hits, it hits, and I like to acknowledge it. Mine hit last week. I'm most excited about this week because Christmas Day games are one of the best NBA days of the year. Lots of great games. We'll discuss some of those matchups on the Old Man and the Three Things. And Maryland sports fans, listen up. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in your state. Download the app now to get in on the holiday hoops action. Sign up with code JJ, place a $50 pregame moneyline bet on any NBA team to win and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code JJ. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Are you wasting money on subscriptions? 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about. Maybe for you, it's an unused Amazon Prime account or a Hulu account that never gets streamed. There's this great app I use that helps me track all of my expenses, and because of it, I no longer waste money on subscriptions I don't even use. You might have heard of it. It's called Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill.
The app shows all your subscriptions in one place and then cancels for you whatever you don't still want. Rocket Money can even find subscriptions you didn't know you were paying for. You may even find out you've been double charged for a subscription. To cancel a subscription, all you have to do is press cancel, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest.
Tommy, when I signed up for the app a few months ago, I legitimately was shocked at how many $6.99, $9.99, $13.99 useless subscriptions I had. So get rid of these useless subscriptions with Rocket Money now. Go to rocketmoney.com/JJ. Seriously, it could save you hundreds per year. That's rocketmoney.com/JJ. Cancel your unnecessary subscriptions right now at rocketmoney.com/JJ. I want to get a sense of how you're wired. Jason and I were discussing this yesterday. a lot of guys on the show who were maybe under recruited, whatever, hit a late growth spurt. And we just had Derek White on, who was going to go to a culinary school originally to play basketball. But we've had, Dame, Fred VanVleet, just there's countless guys, Jimmy Butler, and I always find it interesting to hear them talk about how being overlooked helped them develop a chip on their shoulder. For you, you're someone who was a top 2 player in his class along with Chet. You were always going to be a top 3 pick in the draft, but you clearly have an edge to your game. How do you sort of maintain that motivation? I think the tendency really is for young players who get a lot of adulation and a lot of love early on, they lose that edge. They get complacent.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just have a way of always like thinking somebody's, slighting me somehow. Like I'll look for some or I'll see some, like coming out of high school, I was never like all them years I was ranked top 5, top 3. I was never number 1, like never got put in that one spot. And so that always kind of messed with me because I always felt like I was doing what I needed to do. But it just felt like it never was enough. And then got to college. I think early there was some buzz that I'd go number 1, but then, majority of the year knocked me down to number 3, number 4. And then started saying, I don't play defense. Can't shoot, all that stuff. And I just use it to motivate me because I know, what type of player I want to be and what type of player I can be. And so I just got to find stuff like that to always motivate me, no matter the success I have.
Yeah. I talked with Shire this morning and he shared a couple things anecdotally about you hitting the coaching staff up to get extra shots up at night or at 7 a.m. before class or before practice. I think the word he used was self-driven. He describes you as sort of self-driven. Does that mean that being the number 1 pick in the draft, in hearing you just answer my previous question, it sounds like being the number 1 pick in the draft actually was very meaningful to you. There was a little bit of validation there, if you will.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Like, I mean, that's why I kind of came to tears. Like going into that day, like draft day, I was like pretty much 100% sure I was going to go, maybe number 2, but most likely number 3. So felt like I knew where I was going. I was comfortable. I was like, look, we're about to get drafted number 3. Like, this is dope. Like, I'm smiling the whole day, but like, I'm not like if I would have got drafted number 3 or 2 or whatever, I wouldn't have cried. Like, I would have smiled, got up there and been cool.
And felt slighted. You would have felt slighted.
Yeah, for sure.
Shit. Shit.
That's just how I am though. Like, but at that point, like it had been a whole process and I was like, all right, this is where I'm going. So we're good. As long as I get to the NBA.
Here's a question I have though, Tommy. Like, how did you not know you were going number 1? I mean,
well, I'm curious.
The entire week.
No, but I'm curious about
Tommy.
this because it flipped. Yeah. I'm curious at what point you said it was the same day because
Yeah.
it was sort of a foregone conclusion that you were not going to go number 1.
Exactly.
It felt like until
and the odds flipped.
Yeah.
The bookies got wind of something.
No, I actually found out. Let's see. So, like at the draft, like 45, 30 minutes before, I think you come out with your family for like the introduction. All the guys who's in the green room come out with their parents and go on the stage and go to their table. And so while all the guys, are back there, me and my family, everybody's family, they got TVs backstage and the TVs were muted, but they had the subtitles and it was on NBA Today. So that's like Woj, I think Kendrick Perkins was on there, Richard Jefferson, like that crew that does that show. And I saw my face like on the the ticker or whatever, and it was like Banchero, like it's Magic or taking Banchero or leaning or something like that. And I was like, oh snap! I tapped my parents. I was like, yo, look, and like my face is on there and they're talking about it. I'm like, oh wow! Like so we go out to the introduction. And I sit down at my table, and then Mike Miller, my agent's there, already sitting. And he's just like, we got action. Like, yeah, like, how Mike is. Like, we got action. He's like, I don't know nothing's for sure, but like, we got action. Be ready. So now I'm like, okay, hold on. All right, like here we go. Like this is, I knew it wasn't just gonna be like I felt I was going number 3, but something in me told me it wasn't just gonna happen. Like, oh, you just go and boom. Like I knew there was gonna be some dramatics. So like the time keeps ticking. Mike's working on his phone. Mike's over there next to me. He's talking to himself. He's like locked in. I'm over there laughing. Like Mike's over there talking to himself. Like, come on, Mike. Be a fucking agent, Mike. Come on, Mike. He's on the phone. He's working. And I'm just like, man, this is crazy. And so, like, I think Woj puts out a tweet like 15 minutes later, and is like, the Magic are like basically set on taking me. And like as I'm shown that tweet, I think my dad showed me, like the cameras were on all three of our tables, all three of the guys who were supposed to go top three, and they started all coming to my table, and that's when it kind of hit me, and I'm like, oh wow, this is about to happen. And then here comes Mike. He slams the phone in front of me with a text from, I think the Magic front office. It was like, Paolo's the pick. And he was just like, congratulations, and then probably 45 seconds later, the commissioner came out and announced the pick. And it all happened like it felt so fast. It just overwhelmed me. And like I started crying, which is crazy. Before that, I never cried tears of joy. Like I didn't really understand how that could even happen. I'd never been that happy that I've been overwhelmed like that. But yeah.
What a cool moment. Donnie, were you with these guys that night?
I was there. I wasn't at the table, but I was.
You can confirm that Mike's antics?
Yes.
Yeah. He was locked in. Yeah.
Is there anything so far, obviously you're very, very early in your career and fairly early in your rookie season, is there anything so far that has surprised you about the NBA?
Yeah. I would say just like the little nuances that goes on like throughout the game. Like it's kind of like a backyard like type of vibe, you know what I'm saying? Like dudes are out there talking. It's like coaches are talking. And it's like, just, I don't know. It's like a lot more like up and down, back and forth, you know, trash talk, kind of more one-on-one. Like, I don't know. It's a lot different than college. Like college feels like, you know, every game is like a war, like game planning. You're getting ready to go to war and win the game. The league is like kind of just roll the ball out and it's like, it's you versus you. I mean, it's you versus the man in front of you. And, you know, you play team basketball, obviously, but I feel like it's a lot more room for, you know, the game is just more wide open.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. You know, even, and I'm not just saying this about watching Duke play or watching you play at Duke, but the spacing is just so different.
Yeah.
Having the ability in college to be in the lane for 3 seconds or longer than 3 seconds, that's huge. You know, having most teams, maybe they have one or two primary creators and everybody else can shoot. You know, it's a totally different game. I thought you were going to say Bol. I really did. I thought that was going to be the surprise. Do you have a favorite play of his?
Of Bol's?
Yeah.
It has to be the one he just did against the Hawks. That was crazy. I mean, he always does that though. Like he'll just kind of take it off the rim or on the break, and it's like you're like running down the court and you're just watching. Like you don't really know what to do. You don't know if he's going to pass it, and you just like watch him. And I mean, I think in and out, spun off, then skipped through on like 3 defenders, and then he's up there at the rim. He can jump too. Like he's real mobile. But I really wasn't surprised. I mean, I knew who Bobo was when he was in high school, and the player he was in high school, I think he was MVP to EYBL, like number 1, number 2 recruit. So like, I really wasn't surprised. Like, I think if you watched him since high school, you know that he's capable of this. I think he just needed a chance, and he's been taking advantage of it.
Did you realize how good Franz was before you started playing with him?
No. But I knew right away though. Like before I even stepped on a court with him, I mean, I could just tell, you know, you can just tell. Like some guys you see, you talk to, you watch him work out, and you just, you know, you're like, okay, like he got it. Like he just kind of has that aura about him. Like he knows how good he is. And so it didn't take long.
I was going to mention, I knew that Bol had some talent. I wasn't implying that I didn't, but we played, I don't remember, I guess it was a scrimmage. We did like 2 scrimmages in the bubble before we started playing the real game. Bol was with Denver, and I took a 3. I swear to God, he was like 12 feet away from me.
Yeah.
And I just, normal shot, didn't rush it, and he blocked it. and then he did one of those moves where he just does
Coast
something
to coast,
crazy and does 3 steps from the 3-point line and
Touches it in.
finger rolls it
Yeah.
in. Like, dude. But I'm happy for him because he obviously didn't get the freedom he has now in Orlando that he had in Denver. What do you think for your game? Obviously 3-point shooting, but for your game, your sort of evolution for you to be that guy on a high level championship contender team, where do you sort of put an emphasis on improvement?
Yeah. I would say definitely, like you said, 3-point shooting, just becoming a legitimate threat from out there. I think it'll open the game up a lot more for me. But really just understanding, I think, even more angles and playing with pace. I think I play with pretty good pace, but I think there's just a lot of room for improvement, just becoming more efficient, with my game, the shots I'm taking, getting to spots like, every shot you take, you think you're going to make, but like just becoming more efficient on, how to get to that shot, in less dribbles or, using less energy, just being more, simple. I think is just what I'm continuing to work on.
You started off 27, obviously opening night, started off hot and you sort of continued it. Did you have like a welcome to the NBA moment though with an opponent where whether it was a thing that happened, to you or thing you just saw where you're like, okay, yeah, this is really different?
Hold on a second. This motherfucker had the opposite of a welcome to the NBA moment. He dunked on Corey Joseph. Like, I was actually thinking about this because I'm like, that's like an inverted welcome. It's like Inception shit. I don't even know. Tenet.
Yeah. No, that was that like you said, kind of the other way around. Before that, I never had a dunk where like a guy tried to take a charge and you kind of do the jump over him, like knee to his chest type thing. Like I never had nothing like that happen. So for that to happen in my first game was crazy. And it kind of had that feeling, because when I dunked it, in my head, I'm like, oh shit. And then you kind of can feel the arena. We were on the road and the arena kind of had that same like, type vibe. And it was a crazy moment. But the other way around though, playing against KD, I think, was kind of my little welcome to the NBA moment. I guarded him for most of that game and it was really just nothing you could do. Some guys like get to the line a bunch or, play with the refs and get calls and like, that's how they get, 14 points from the line or whatever. But like KD was straight business. Like wasn't saying nothing to the refs, was getting to the line. I think he hit like 4 or 5 free throws, but he had 45. So most of those was buckets. And I think he missed 5 shots that game. And so just experiencing that and like having to guard him and just kind of being like, he was the first player I think I've guarded in my life where it was like, there's nothing I could do. Usually a guy can make some shots on me, but I can fluster him a little bit. I can, get into him, make a miss here and there. But that was just like, he don't even see me right now. Like I'm trying to cut him off. He's just out there like, no, I'm still going to get to this spot. I'm still going to rise up. So it was crazy, man. But seeing that in person was OD.
This is why players love Kevin. This is why every player thinks Kevin is great and one of the all-time greats. And we talked about this with Kevin last year when we brought up, he's in a league of his own in some ways. And we can argue, I'm not going to do it here because I'd get in trouble every time I do it. We can argue about, is it Giannis? Is it Steph? Is it Luka? Is it whoever? But whatever. KD, I think it's what you mentioned. It's the business of getting buckets. If that's the goal of basketball, it's just
like I said, all those guys is great players, but like in terms of a guy who you can't stop, like you can, double team a guy, you can pack the paint on a guy and like make it difficult for him. But like with KD, there's really nothing you can do. Like he's going to hezzy pull from 3. So you got to guard that. If you jump on that, he's going to hezzy you and get to the mid range. Then he's going to get to the basket. Like he's 7 feet. He's shooting over centers. Like the one shot he had against us, that really just made me like usually guys do, you know, great plays in the game on the opposite team, and I'm just like, all right, let's go. Like, take the ball out, let's go. But like a couple of his buckets, I'm like sitting there pausing for a second, like, God damn. Like he hit a baseline fadeaway over Bowl, and Bowl like full on contest, like jumped, hand, tried to block it. And I've seen guys, you know, he's flustered a lot of great shooters so far, and KD just didn't see him. It was just cash right over the top.
No one knows what next year holds, but it'll be a lot better if you're comfortable. Cozy up to 2023 by snagging brand new underwear, loungewear, and pajamas at Tommy John's end-of-year sale going on right now. When you start the year in Tommy John, you're that much more comfortable, so you can do everything better. Tommy John underwear, loungewear, and pajamas have dozens of comfort innovations like luxuriously soft tri-blend and micromodal fabrics with 4-way stretch. And there's no lint balls or fuzz.
With over 18 million pairs sold and thousands of 5-star reviews, people love their Tommy Johns. That's why Tommy John doesn't have customers, they have fanatics.
I love my Tommy John pajamas because they make me super, super comfortable, and it's definitely a cozy vibe. You should get Tommy John too. Hurry over to their end of the year sale now for the best prices ever.
And all Tommy John underwear is covered by their no wedgie guarantee. This is Tommy John's final sale of the year, and like 2022, it's ending soon.
Shop Tommy John's end of year sale right now for up to 70% off at TommyJohn.com/JJ. Save up to 70% for a limited time at TommyJohn.com/JJ. TommyJohn.com/JJ. See site for details.
Where would you rank Seattle in terms of hoops prowess as a city, the talent in Seattle?
I would rank it, me being biased, top 3. Realistically, top 5, though. But I think we could definitely make a case to be a top 3 hoop city. I think people don't understand until they get there. Or if they really look on a piece of paper of all the pros we've had and all the pros we have right now, I think people will be surprised, because I think there's a lot of guys in the NBA that people don't even realize are from Seattle. And we're like really like guys who are from Seattle like grew up playing against each other. It's not like guys are from different parts of Washington or 2 hours, 3 hours away. You know, like guys are really kind of within like I would say a 30, 40 mile radius. Of like, and they're all playing in the same gyms, same high schools, same leagues. And so it's really I think one of a kind scene out there.
You have a favorite Jamal Crawford story?
Favorite Jamal Crawford story? I'd probably say the one and only time I played him one-on-one. I think that's my
Explain.
story. I mean, yeah, this was the summer, or this is like May. This is like May, and I was going to school, going to Duke in like June. So this was like right before I left to go to Duke. And he was like, check up. This after we played pickup at Washington, UW. And he was like, check up. Which he had never, I've known Jamal since I was a freshman. He never asked to check up. So I was like, oh, okay. He's dead serious right now. So we played five all ones, 3 dribbles. And he beat me 5-4. And then I was like, and I was pissed. I was pretty pissed. Like it got pretty competitive. You know, like we stopped each other both a couple times. Like guys, we got a little tired. Like it was a real one-on-one game. And I was like, man, run it back. He was like, no, never again. He was like, never again. He was like, we're never going to play again. And so that kind of pissed me off. But
Oh, I love Fam. He's the best. LA, for sure. Top hoop city. I think I'm trying to rack my brain. Is it Houston?
Chicago.
You put
Chicago is a bunch.
Chicago. I think.
I wish it was. I mean,
Texas.
basketball in New York City, yeah, it's great. But in terms of like
the thing with
guys,
LA is you get all of Southern California.
Yeah.
So you get,
I mean, like
Palmdale
Texas to
and-
me, like maybe Texas, but like you got Houston, Dallas. Like to me, that's Houston and Dallas. You can't put them together.
St. Louis, just because Brad and Tatum
Yeah,
St.
St.
has
Louis.
to be in there.
St. Louis is a good one.
But I mean, Seattle, we got a lot.
Roanoke.
What's
we
the
got-
starting 5? What's the Seattle starting 5?
Seattle starting 5. I mean, that's all time.
Let's
Or-
go
or
all
right
time.
now. I mean,
Let's
there's
go
a
all
lot.
time.
All time. Everybody in their prime. I'm not even gonna put myself in there. So I'm gonna keep me out. I'm gonna put IT at the 1. I'm gonna put Jamal at the 2. Brandon at the 3. Roy. I'm gonna put the 4-man. I'm gonna throw myself in there on the 4-man. I'm gonna play the 4, and then the 5. Man, our 5-man. I think we only got one great 5-man. My man Spencer Hawes. Yes, sir. My big bro Spencer Hawes. I'm gonna throw Big Spence in there, stretch the floor.
Spencer's my guy,
That's a
man.
fun
That's my
team.
guy.
Yeah, it's a great team.
That'd be a fun team. That'd be a really fun team.
I want to talk a little bit about how you guys are playing right now. Obviously, we're taping this on Saturday. You guys beat Boston last night. You're on a really nice run, beating good teams. I kind of want to get your thoughts overall on how the last week or so has gone, but then also just in general, you're the 4th youngest team in the NBA. You have all these guys that are sort of coming to their own. Jalen's obviously not even back yet, so I think you're going to get even better when he's back.
A lot of guys aren't back yet.
Yeah. Does it feel a little bit like you're being underestimated as a team a little bit and almost slept on because it's so many young guys and it's so many guys that people maybe have not seen very much?
I think a little bit. I think we just got to continue to, prove ourselves to the rest of the league, that we're, a good team and that, we're going to be competitive. I think that's what it is, just us trying to, earn the respect and, just prove to everyone that, we can compete. And we just been buying in lately and really coming together as a group, and it's been showing. So, obviously we know we're not going to win the rest of the games of the year, but we just got to be able to maintain, when we do take that loss or do slip up here and there, like just being able to maintain that level of focus, that we have been the past, 5 or 6 games.
Has it been an adjustment for you because you were on great high school teams? You guys won state championships. You were on a really awesome Duke team that made the Final Four last year. But you've won your whole life, and that's sort of the trade-off, honestly, of going number 1 in the draft. Is you're going to a team that is maybe in a rebuilding process.
Yeah, no, that it has been, I think it's just trying to battle, like, whether we're losing or, just not getting comfortable with it, like not just making it a normal type thing. Like every time we lose, still, having that same fire to see why we lost or how we can, win or what we got to do different. Like not not falling under that, we lost, like, all right, then we lose again, it's whatever. Like, just not having that attitude, I think, has been, big for me and big for the team. I think the team's starting to have that attitude as well, just not letting that, be the normal, vibe around the organization.
I assume you set a goal of trying to win Rookie of the Year this year.
Yeah.
It's important to you.
Yeah.
I think you're well on your way.
Yeah. That was definitely just a goal of mine coming in. I just wanted to continue to, just try and validate, myself and prove to myself, just that I can be, the player I want to be. So it's, definitely an important goal of mine.
The other guy I wanted to ask about, who JJ is a very good relationship with and we've had on the show, is Markelle.
Yeah.
Just what he means to you guys. He's been through a lot for a young guy. Like what he means to you guys as a teammate and seeing him, play like he has been, how he was last night.
Yeah, he means a lot. I mean, he's really changed. He's really been one of the main reasons, the dynamics kind of changed for us, is just his presence on the court, always being under control, making the right play, scoring big baskets when he needs to. I mean, he's one of the most talented guys, I've ever played with. And, just his mentality, like on the court, how he talks to his teammates, how he's leading out there. He's, getting on guys, holding guys accountable, and just holding that level of communication, that we need, and he just keeps us all together. And he's been great, and he really wants to win. I think he's been one of the main guys who's kind of lost that attitude of, getting comfortable with losing. I mean, he wants to win every game. So it's been great playing with him.
I love it. They're so young that Markelle is the best.
Yeah.
Makes you feel old.
I mean,
he was my rookie.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Rookie.
Yeah, he was at UW. When I was like 7th, 8th grade, he was at Washington. So I watched him then, and playing with him now is wild too. T. Ross too.
I just can't get over how old I am. It's upsetting. I always get reminded on the show.
Yeah,
Paulo, this has been awesome, man. We appreciate
sir.
the time to catch up.
You know, Duke Brotherhood,
Yes,
always
sir.
rooting for you.
Always.